Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Holistic Health Podcast. I actually think that I don't fit into this category of someone who hates cooking, but I also don't fit into the category of someone who just loves cooking and can't wait to get in the kitchen. I think mine's I'm very much in between. So I'm definitely not saying this as someone who, is just like a absolutely loves cooking, getting in the kitchen, can't wait to make the next meal. I love eating and I love nourishing myself. I think I sit somewhere in between. So the reason I wanted to do this episode is that this does come up in clinic from time to time of I either hate cooking, I don't know how, or it just feels like a chore. And one of the first things I say to people is, that's fine. You don't have to love it. You don't even have to like it. And I think sometimes just starting with that mindset shift of let it be something that you don't love, that you don't like, that you don't enjoy, that you don't look forward to, but do it anyway. And also focus more on what it gives you over the longer period of time as opposed to what it's taking from you in that moment of having to do it. And I also think what can be really helpful for people to move forward through this, because we all have to feed ourselves for our whole life. And so the problem isn't going anywhere if you want to be someone who is well nourished frequently, and you can't afford to hire a personal chef or outsource all of your meal prep, then you're going to have to find a way around this. And so the other thing that I get people to do is try and understand what about it they don't love, because sometimes that can help troubleshoot how to make it a less painful process. So is it that you just don't enjoy the decision fatigue around what am I going to have for dinner? What am I going to have for breakfast this week? What's everyone in the house going to eat? Is it that part? Is it the part that you hate all of the dishes that need to be cleaned, all the different pots and pans? Is it that you don't feel good at it and you don't like things that you're not good at? Is it that you don't enjoy the flavor of what you actually make, and so cooking feels like something that isn't giving you anything back but is more so just ticking a box? Or is it that, is it something else? But I feel like those ones that I've mentioned are the most common. Often falls into one of those categories. So let's start with one of the most common things, which is that decision fatigue of what am I going to eat? What am I going to have for dinner? What am I going to make? Because I think that in a world where life is quite full for a lot of us, and we're making a lot of decisions, particularly if you are, a mum listening to this. I know this comes up a lot, but even if you're not, I'm a dog mum, but I'm not a mum at this point in my life, and I even feel like this sometimes. So
me too.
What do you think? What do you kind of say to people who decision fatigue is the hard thing?
Look, I definitely have suffered from that myself. When your brain's just full of other stuff and having to make one more goddamn decision. It's not even one decision, because it's what do I want? What are the ingredients? Now I've got to get the ingredients, and I've got to prep, cook, clean up. So it is a lot. Now, look, if you're not feeling too decision fatigued, you could absolutely buy a meal plan. You've got several, I've got several. Sometimes it looks like just a recipe collection. Sometimes it looks like a little more structured with exact shopping lists for the exact amount you need for, let's say a 4-week plan, for example. I think that's a really nice option if you're I just want someone to tell me what to do, and then the rest will take care of itself. So that's nice. But what the advantage to that is, you get variety and you don't have to put any brain power into doing the maths on what you need, but it still involves a bit of mental effort. So there are other options. I've definitely done this. I think I've tried both HelloFresh and Marley and Spoon. And I think there's plenty out there. Those ones you can buy for, 2 people or 4. And I think when I was buying the 2, I was like having dinner and lunch, and that was just perfect. It's the exact amount of the ingredients. There's no food waste. There's a recipe. They're usually pretty simple to put together, but like a really good payoff as far as how tasty they are. I think that's a really nice option. I also have bought like ready-made meals. I remember living in Sydney at one point, and there was a really great like whole food one in Bondi that was awesome. I'm also thinking of a client who adores the Soul Cleanse salads, and what they do was, it's 2 of them. They order those and then they just add the salad to like rock it to make it bigger, and then cook their protein, and they might just do steak or chicken, and it's just like, again, the decision fatigue is just completely like taken out of the whole, the whole thing. And so like whatever you need to do that, if you feel like you want more control over it, or maybe you've got special dietary requirements, or maybe you're aiming for certain macros, you could also, like I actually have been known to plan out like my next week. I sort of sit down on a Sunday, I look at my working week, and I think, right, for the next 5 or 6 days, I need things I can just heat and eat. And I will plan out maybe 2 different breakfasts, 2 different lunches, 2 different dinners. So I've got a choice. I used to be 3, but like I've definitely gotten better as far as my tolerance for, recipe repeating goes. And then just meal prep that. And I would typically, I'm iffy with food that's been in the fridge for more than 3 days. So I will often meal prep on a Sunday afternoon or maybe a Monday morning, and that'll take me through to Wednesday or Thursday morning, and then I'll meal prep again for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then Sunday, it's usually my day off, and I can I actually personally do love cooking. It's just having enough mental real estate to kind of do it, and the space to kind of put some music on and really enjoy it and things like that. So it becomes utilitarian during the week, especially when I'm overloaded, but a bit like anybody with a human body really, like eating well can just make such a difference to your energy and your ability to get through the week. So whatever it takes to do that, those are all really good options.
I love it. And I was just going to add for the meal delivery stuff, some that are quite good that I recommend that are very like whole food based. So the top 3 I would say that I'm aware of sorry for overseas listeners, but in Australia are the Good Farm Shop, which they're constantly expanding where they're delivering, but a lot of like that kind of East Coast is covered. Again, not everywhere. You can go and check their website because it's constantly changing. The other one would also be Holistically Healthy, which is Perth based for people on the other side. And then one in Melbourne or Victoria that I also believe is slowly expanding is Wilding Foods. So they're very much like top of the range as far as like really good quality ingredients, and very much, I guess, the gold standard, so to speak. There are also other good options that still use, still make good choices, but might not be like organic, or might not use, the most perfect, ingredients that we might think of when we're talking about that with people who are very much into whole foods. And some that come to mind in that regard would be Nourished,
Love them.
Activate Foods, and Dynamic. So that's another 3 that I guess are also a little bit more widely available as well. So you can certainly look into those. And there are many more. That's not an exhaustive list, nor are we sponsored by any of them, though feel free to reach out. But that's just something you can do. If the issue is more around like the sheer volume of just like constantly cooking, then a couple of strategies that I use is I really think about what are meals or a meal that I can create and then recreate really easily. So some that come to mind for me are doing a roast that then can be turned into wraps, or that can be turned into a salad. So you might do the roast on a Sunday night, and you've got the whole shebang with like roast potatoes, roast pumpkin, roast carrots. You've got greens or whatever with it, and the whatever meat you've chosen, and get a big enough piece of meat that it's going to last the next day and the day after. And you could do, as I said, like wraps for one dinner the next night, and then you could do a salad the next night, or vice versa. And that again is a way that the primary thing is done, but then you're just kind of, getting some longevity out of it. Another one would be bolognese. So doing it one night with, this might sound odd, but it tastes good, so take my word for it, is bolognese with like roast potatoes and pumpkin or sweet potato, and then doing another version of it, which is with pasta, and whether that's gluten-free pasta, regular pasta, edamame pasta, konjac noodles, kelp noodles, whatever is your choice of pasta to go with it, or even doing it on gluten-free toast and have some chopped up cucumbers on the side, like that will also do. And then the other thing I would say is lean more on meals that are kind of one pot style, where you can put all of your vegetables and all of your meat into the one dish. So thinking casserole, stews, slow cookers. So again, the labor of like managing multiple plates or whatever it might be is less, and sometimes that can simplify things. And it also, those dishes tend to lean themselves better to keeping nicer in the fridge, freezing better if you're going to do a batch cook and freeze them, and reheating and not tasting like, just shit basically.
Yeah.
Like they tend to get better with
They
time.
do. Yes.
So that would be some of my tips.
Yeah.
What else could you add to that?
So when it comes to like time and energy expenditure, I think that's what often gets in the way for people, and they might find themselves relying on fast food, whether that's going through the drive-through at Macca's or whether that's ordering Uber Eats. But there are ways you can get quicker, more instant food that is a bit more nourishing. And there's a couple of strategies. One, I think, is, and this is one I've relied on before, is the supermarket actually these days has some really like good immediate options. My first thought is buy roast chicken and a ready-made salad. There's a green goodness salad. I think both Coles and Woolworths do it. It's delicious. It's got edamame, cranberries, sunflower seeds, amazing like lemon and thyme dressing. It's like an instant meal. And for the time it takes you to drive to McDonald's, you can drive to Woolies or Coles and grab a hot chicken and a salad and be home eating something that has more nutritional value in an instant with no cooking and clean up. And although I really am not a fan of like single-use plastics, I also think like they've got a section where there's like pre-chopped vegetables, and in that, for example, broccoli and green beans with garlic butter, or they've got like pumpkin, potato, onion with rosemary and thyme. So it's pre-chopped and you can just bang that in the oven and it's just done. Or you can buy, like a pulled pork that's already been cooked and you're just heating and eating it. So even though it's packaged food and there's plastic involved, it's still better than going through a drive-through, or possibly even, Uber Eats. If you've got a couple of go-tos, I know in Kingscliff, they're not there anymore, but Mix and Colour did the most amazing rock star salads. They had Jungle Thai in Burleigh now, and I still try and drop in and see them. It's too far to deliver for me now, but like that was just such a healthy, fresh, fragrant, delicious, nourishing option. But the other thing is to go for a bit like what you said, one pot cooking thing. So slow cooker, one pot, pressure cooker. Yes, you can do stovetop or oven kind of slow cooking as well, but it's a little less set and forget. But again, stews, casseroles, minestrone, just like one pot wonder, put everything in. And it means you're making multiple meals in one go. You can just chop and just bang everything in one place. It's only one dish to wash. And if you're really busy, you can kind of just put it on the morning before you start work and then come home and you've got dinner ready and then lunches for the next few days. I would just suggest investing in good single serve storage options. So I really love the silicone pouches, like a Ziploc bag from Seed and Sprout, and you can just, dispense like single serves and then bang them in the freezer, and then you can just, pull out one each day and heat and reheat and eat. So there are so many options, really. But it's about, like you said, identifying what's really in the way here. Is it time? Is it energy? Is it mental real estate? Is it the cleanup? Is it the, I don't have time to stand over the stove and stir things, or I can't be bothered with the cleanup? Have a look at where you can just problem solve those things.
And take some time to learn how to use some of these things. Like if you've never used a slow cooker, or you've never used a pressure cooker, or you've never used an air fryer, or you've never used a food processor, just learn. Like I know that sounds a bit blunt, but you can learn. There's it's not hard. I know it feels sometimes hard to learn new things as an adult, but once you learn it, you'll be so grateful for it. And they are all tools that can make that prep time and that cooking time a lot simpler. And the final thing I would say, particularly for those of you who are listening that are, and many clients of mine are like this, who just want to get like A++ on their nutrition all of the time and get really stuck with it, is if you're going through a busy season, you don't put so much pressure on yourself to be perfect with everything. Like sometimes good enough is good enough. Sometimes you're not going to eat the rainbow every week. Sometimes you are going to eat on repeat the same thing for, a month on end, and it's okay. Like you're going to still get variety in other ways. You could just choose a different fruit to have each week, or introduce one new vegetable every week, or buy a different packet of nuts and seeds, or, there are ways to create micro variety without having to come up with new ideas every single week. And I think it's a bit of a myth that everyone out there in the wellness space, or all naturopaths, are cooking up completely elaborate different meals every night. Like I'm certainly not, and I know a lot of naturopaths and they're not either.
I'd like to,
and
but I'm
yeah, I know
definitely
that'd be
not.
great. And so just take the pressure off yourself a little bit, and lean on some of these strategies and find what works for you, because it might be different to what works for someone else. And hopefully that helps. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Well, I'm just reflecting on something that you say, and this is not a direct quote from you, but I remember.
I'll correct you if it's not.
Yeah. But you said something along the lines of like, food is fuel, not fun.
Did I?
Well, so
That's really bleak of me.
no, that's a very harsh interpretation of what you meant. You were essentially saying like, a little bit like you don't have to like cooking to actually do it. And in terms of food, yes, you might want to eat a particular way, but you just have to settle for just functional. Just functional. And I remember a part of my soul died when I first heard you say that, because I personally want to eat like I'm at a goddamn gourmet restaurant every single meal. But at the same time, it's a little bit like putting petrol in your car. You just need the right fuel to get the function that you're looking for. And sometimes it just has to boil down to that for the season that you're in. And yes, there are spices, herbs, rejigging
Love
things.
particles. Yep.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You can absolutely like zhuzh things up in a way, but it doesn't have to be this Michelin star meal every night, because we're not eating that way either. It's just a sometimes thing and not an everyday thing.
Yes. Yep. I love it. Well, good luck out there. If you stumble across any winners, please share them with us as well.
Yes, please.
See you next time.
Bye.